in communication. I've worked in PR in London, and I am now. I'm going to tonight. I'll be after the show. I'm going to be looking back at people I worked with in that company, and I'm going to be thinking, well, I know my boss was one of them anyway. He was a complete psycho, and I don't have any problem saying that because he was. And he had all the traits that you say about his body build. And all that kind of stuff with the chiseled chin and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
He was definitely a complete psycho. I'd have to say that. And now that you've told me what to look out for and what how to spot them, I'll definitely have to get a copy of the book off you. That's for sure. I'll be definitely interested to read up and learn more about this, because it really ties into the area that I'm into, which is the psychology and human nature and human behavior. So, for anybody in a relationship, whether it's male or female, if the person that you're with has these traits, there's no point going to relate or going to any counselling, because if the person you're with, whether they're male or female, is a psycho, nothing you do is going to change them. Is that correct?
Counselling is actually the worst thing. Couples in a couple where one is a psychopath, going to a counsellor is the worst possible thing you can do. All they'll do is learn how to manipulate it more effectively, because you'll be sitting there spilling your guts out. Oh, he doesn't do this or she doesn't do that. They'll be taking notes, and he says, okay, they'll just use it, manipulate it more effectively. There's no hope. You just start begin your egg. If you think you're in an abusive relationship with a psychopath, I'm talking about it psychologically, but it can be physical as well. If you're listening to this right now, you should really begin working on your exit strategy to get out of that relationship.
Okay.
And the same if you have a psychopathic boss, he won't change.
Yeah. Okay. That's what. The reason why I say that is because I know we have listeners who are obviously going to be in relationships, or people that they know people in relationships and might know somebody like this. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, and it's something that they need to know about, because. Now, I know some people might say, well, it's not really fair in the person, but then again, if this guy or woman is a psycho, then, they don't
care about you. They'll they'll replace you in a minute, and they'd walk over you, you drop dead in the street in front of them as if they never knew you. People to a psychopath, the relationships, and entire countries, if they're political leaders, are just purely utilitarian devices. They're just there as implements. A psychopath, if you are married to a psychopath, that psychopath sees you as no more different than their collection of porn magazines, their DVDs, or their salt and pepper shaker collection.
And of course they mask as well, so if they're masking in the relationship when they first meet you, you're going to be flattered, I suppose. And
they will flatter you like you would not believe. They will tell you you see, they will look for your triggers. If there's problems in your life, say you didn't grow up with a father, you had no father when you're growing up, they'll be your surrogate father. Things like that. They'll fill in the missing gaps in your life. And you'll think you have found a soulmate, but all that's happened is a fish just got caught.
Yeah. I think people in relationships have to be careful with this, and I think this kind of information is so valuable to know, because if you're saying that the statistics are that 1 person in 25 is a psychopath, that's a lot of psychopaths out there.
Yeah, 4% of the Western world. That's a lot. And you think, and even you think, okay, 96% aren't. One psychopath can ruin dozens and sometimes hundreds of lives in relationships during the course of their life.
And if there's no treatment for this, what is the solution?
Get away. Just get away. Just don't have anything to do with them. Change your phone number. Move away. Just go.
Sure. But that's kind of hard to do, though. I mean, let's say, for argument's sake, if it's one of your family.
Yeah.
It's a painful decision, but if you want to be an old person, okay, here's your choice. If you find out your son is a psychopath, and it's a very difficult thing, and I totally, these people have the hardest choice in the world, but if it's an adult person, they should be old enough to take care of themselves. But yeah, the day will come when he'll be tampering with your medication, trying to speed up your death so he can inherit your house. That's how much he'll care about you in return. I mean, we're dealing with people that are not like us. They're very, very different. They have no emotional connection to their own parents or sisters or brothers.
But if you're saying, Thomas, that some of these people can realise that they're psychopaths by puberty or at a very young age, I mean, for argument's sake, if my son or daughter was of that age, and I kind of seen that they were showing psychopathic tendencies, I mean, you couldn't chuck them out of the house, could you?
You talk about as young children? Of course not. You have a legal obligation to take care of them until they're, until they're 18 or whatever. And if they do behave themselves, that's okay. But I'm talking about, you may have psychopathic children who may not bother you at all. They're just ruining other people's lives. But if they're living at home, whether they're 40 years of age, stealing your money, constantly still getting in trouble, have no desire to go out and work, and then probably having the police knocking at the door several times a year, you'd have to really consider, breaking your ties with them, because they'll never get better. But at first, you must diagnose that they are psychopaths. So I would suggest getting a proper diagnostic evaluation done with a psychologist and in a hospital.
Yeah,
if you're that concerned.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, from a male perspective, finding out whether one of your kids may be a psychopath and maybe going down that road, from a male perspective, it might be a little bit easier than from a female perspective, because I mean, there's kind of that bond between mother and child.
Yeah,
so
it's an absolute tragedy. I mean, yeah. I get emails from women that say, "I can't believe that thing came out of my womb." You're talking about women who've their own son has broken into the house in the middle of the night, pretending to be a burglar, and held a knife to her throat, pretending he was some robber. And this is the kind of things they get up to. And
wow.
It's a no-win situation when you have one in the family. My heart goes out to anyone who have a psychopathic child, or to me, it just breaks my heart thinking what they have to go through. It's an unbelievable burden to deal with.
Do you have case histories in your book as well?
Yeah, I have 4 testimonies by 4 women who I know personally, and these are, I've interviewed them extensively, and some of them are quite harrowing. They're psychologically harrowing what they were put through.
Should there be a register in some kind of way?
That's the idea. We're getting into Big Brother stuff now. I don't believe that we should have a register for no reason. I think maybe here's something I would agree with. If anyone has been caught doing either a physical, a criminal act, or especially a white-collar criminal thing, they should maybe have to get a proper diagnosis done. If established they're psychopaths. Now, I don't know where you'd put that record or anything. Maybe if they get married, you tell the people that they're getting married to. But otherwise, we're into very delicate civil rights stuff here. Personally, I'm against the database because I know it'll just be abused. In the same way, people who are on all kinds of, there's people who are on sex offenders lists that don't deserve to be there, and there are people on those lists that have tried to get their lives back together again, and then found a lynch mob coming after them because someone found their name somewhere. So I would be against a register, a database. I would just out of my own civil rights viewpoint,
Okay. Well, listen, Thomas. We know you have to head off. You have another interview. You've another interview to do, so we're not going to keep you. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. We'd love you to come back in a few months' time. And because I know you're kind of doing the media thing and getting your book out there and everything else, if you want to just advertise your book again and where people can get it.
Yeah, the book is called Puzzling People, The Labyrinth of the Psychopath by Thomas Sheridan. It's available worldwide on all the Amazon domains. So you just type Puzzling People, Thomas Sheridan, or The Labyrinth of the Psychopath into Amazon, and it'll come up no matter where you are in the world, in your currency and whatever. So it's easy to get.
Okay, so you can get it on Amazon and stuff like that.
Yeah, and other places too, but Amazon is the cheapest at the moment.
Right, that's brilliant. Well, listen, Thomas, we're not going to keep you because we know you have another interview. So, Steve, you want to...
Yeah, I just want to say to Thomas, thanks very much. You've really opened my eyes. I look forward to having a read of your book and doing a little bit more research. It's a fascinating subject and something that's really given me food for thought. And come here, just before, I know you're rushing off, but one thing that we try to do before the guest leaves is there anything else that you want to throw out there, anything you want to publicise, or maybe just make people aware of?
Yeah, I can just make a statement. Now more than ever is a time we need to be kind and decent to each other, and I would just ask people to try and just have more empathy, more compassion, and have their minds swayed by media and politics, and just try to. I mean, I know it sounds corny, but try to love people around them more, and that would be my closing statement.
Okay, and I think one thing that we've all agreed, a lot of the guests have agreed on, is that it's about finding your spirituality, not on a religious thing, but finding where your spiritual, finding your own spirit, basically. I think that's...
you have been the one you're waiting for. That's still true today as it always was.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, Thomas, we're not going to keep you because we know you have to rush off and do another show. We're going to a bit of music, so we'll just stay with us there for a minute, Thomas.
Okay.
And after this bit of music, we'll be back with you in a few minutes.
You broke my heart, 'cause I couldn't dance. You didn't eat.
There you go.
Put it back on again. Put it back
There
on
you
again.
go.
I've been dancing around here.
The Contours, Do You Love Me? We had it. I mean, that's one of them songs that you have to move to. And that's one of the things that I talk about energy, is keeping your energy up and staying positive. And I actually have that song in when I'm driving. And well, I have to. The instant was I was driving down to Navan, and that song was on. And of course, I was in the car, probably looking like a psychopath, actually, dancing to it. And I pulled up at the lights, and I was, and of course, there's two girls in the car beside me, looking at me, laughing, and then dancing as well.
In the car next to you?
Yeah, and then
beside you.
She probably said, you know what? I just bought that book, Puzzling People, and that guy looks like a psycho. That's
okay.
But it's all about positive energy. That was a very
is.
good show, I have to say. Thomas is well versed in psychopaths, and we hope all our listeners.
And he's a nice guy to talk to.
Brilliant.
Very easy to listen to.
Brilliant. And I hope all our listeners learned an awful lot from that, because especially for people who are in relationships, who are with people who have psychopathic tendencies, there's no point going to relate or relationship counselling if these people are psychopaths. Just get away from them. Sort out what your exit routine's going to be, and then go there.
Exit stage left.
It has to be.
But I mean, even that. I mean, that. How could you do that? I mean, let's say for argument's sake, you're with someone and you're in love with that person. You're completely and totally emotionally in love with that person, and you realise they're a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then now well, hang on, I can't stay. I have to go, and then you have to. I mean, but you're the giver in that relationship, and you have to. That must be traumatic.
It is traumatic, but the thing is with relationships where you have givers and takers, if a giver gets to a tolerance level, and they'll accept so much from the taker, and everybody has their own tolerance levels, and this is psychology we're talking about now. When the giver gets to the tolerance level that they can't take any more, and they say, that's it, we're finished, the person who's going to lose out is the taker, and the taker is the one who more than likely will be, oh please, I'll change, but they won't, because to change takes energy and takes effort, and as a taker they don't use energy or effort, they use as little as they can. So, and that's the problem. So if anybody's single out there and you're looking to go into a relationship,
Alan is available.
just make sure you look for a person who's a giver, okay? Not a taker. Because if you get into if you're a giver and you meet somebody who's a giver, it's going to be a good relationship. And this is one of the things that I talk about from a psychological point of view, but nothing got to do with the radio show, but to other people about psychology. So it's very, very important that you do that. If you know any single people looking for relationships, we recommend that you do that. And if you want more information on this, actually, if you go to the website, the OYM website, and if you go down to the menu option where it says understanding energy, that will give you a bit of an insight as to what I'm talking about psychologically about understanding energy and how energy works. So go to understanding energy on the website and you'll understand it there. And this is important for relationships. It's very, very important for relationships. I don't want to do a Dear Doctor or Dear Deirdre on relationships, because we're not that kind of radio show. But
I was going to say Dear Alan, but now I've gotten the title. Ask Alan.
Ask Alan.
Yeah.
Ask Alan.
Ask Alan.
But it's very, very important. And if we always say the same thing. If we had the knowledge when we were younger that we have now, life would be a hell of a lot different.
Absolutely.
But to learn life, you have to live life, and it's that easy.
Say that again. That was beautiful.
To learn life, you have to live life.
There's my credo for the next week.
There you go. That's your mantra. You'll be telling everybody that. And our kids always turn around and say, I know. But they have the knowledge, but they don't have the experience, and that's where it lacks. It's the experience that you learn from.
Well, there's one there now before you do whatever you're going to do. AAA, ask Alan anything.
I think we're going to have that. Ask Alan, you poet, you. Oh, thank you very much.
You poet, you.
You poet, yeah. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Okay. Right, so there you go. So, Puzzling People, The Labyrinth of the Psychopath. You can get the book on Amazon. Very good information. Guys, what we're trying to do here in the radio station, as you all know, is trying to educate our listeners, trying to educate people. We're not saying we don't know everything. This is why we have our guests on who are experts in the fields to try and educate you, to give you more knowledge so you can make a choice. Because ignorance, you can't make a choice, but knowledge you can. And if you have the knowledge and you decide not to use it, that's fine. But ignorance you can't, so it's important. So this is what we're trying to do. And this is what TNS Radio and all the other radio stations are trying to do. We're just trying to get guests on who are experts in the field, who try and educate people. And so we make the world a better place. And we become better people from it. That's really what it's about.
We are the world.
We are